Hello, students, and welcome back to the online lectures of environmental studies for semester 2. In the last lecture, we have started with the second module titled as Agriculture and Industrial Development, wherein we have discussed various environmental problems associated with modern agriculture. And in the last couple of slides, we have also discussed the patterns of hunger and malnutrition from United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization's official website. Today, we are planning to discuss global patterns of hunger and malnutrition, the concept of food security in India, and also sustainable agricultural development practices in order to ensure sufficient food production along with the environmental sustenance. Before we start with the core part of lecture today, let us have a look at the module objectives set for this module. By the end of this unit, we will be able to understand the environmental problems associated with agriculture, which we have discussed in the last lecture. To comprehend the ways of sustainable agricultural practices and to know the environmental problems associated with industries and methods of sustainable industrial development. We have been discussing the concept of hunger and malnutrition since last lecture. Let us now have a brief look at the global patterns of undernourishment or other prevalence to undernourishment over the years. Globally, it was found that 18.6% of the world population was undernourished, which reduced to 10.9% during 2014 to 16. However, there is a regional variation in terms of prevalence to the undernourishment. Developed regions in the world or more developed countries in the world indicated less than 5% of their population which is undernourished, and it has continued to be the same in the year 2014 to 16 as well. However, developing regions of the world, particularly Asian countries and Southeast Asian nations specifically, had 23.3% of the total population suffering from undernourishment, which has in the year 1990, which has reduced to 12.9% in the year 2014. However, the underdeveloped regions of the world, particularly African countries, had the largest proportion of the population of about 27.6%, undernourished during the year 1990, which has reduced to 20% in the year 2014 to 16. And therefore, if we look at the percentage of undernourished population, we can easily come to know that the share of undernourished population by different regions of the world has a very close association with the level of economic development. More developed countries have less number of people undernourished, whereas less developed countries have more number of people suffering from undernourishment. Sub-Saharan countries are considered to be the most vulnerable region where large share of population is suffering from undernourishment over the years, whereas the Latin America and Caribbean islands show significant achievement in terms of reduction in undernourished population from 14.7% to just 5.5%. And therefore, it is very important. In fact, the Southeast Asian nation have shown extremely well progress in terms of food security over the years, and the result is from 30.6% in 1990, the number of undernourished people have reduced to 9.6% to the total population of Southeast Asian nations. And therefore, if we look at these entire statistics, we'll come to know that the undernourishment or the problem of undernourishment is being reduced to a larger extent since past couple of decades, but still in South East Asia and Sub-Saharan African countries, stress needs to be, or more attention needs to be given in order to ensure the sufficient food and nutritious food to the entire population of the region. Now, the hunger statistics of 2012 in global context is another important area where we can find some interesting results. It is natural that in the sub-Saharan countries, almost the entire African continent has the prevalence of hunger of more than 35% of its total population. Whereas in Southeast Asian nations or South Asia, like India and other neighboring countries, the percentage is ranging from 20 to 35%. But the Russian continent, China, then large parts of South America are showing the percentage of undernourished population between 5% to 20%. However, North America, Western European countries, Australia, Japan are showing better results with less than 5% of its total population suffering from undernourishment. And therefore, globally, the percentage of population suffering from undernourishment has uneven distribution across the world, and the concentration of undernourished population is confined mainly to the developing and underdeveloped regions of the world. After having a brief discussion on global patterns of hunger and malnutrition, and before we look at the various institutional efforts to be put into ensuring the sufficient quantity and nutritious quality food to the entire population to control the problem of hunger and malnutrition. First, we need to understand what are the factors that are determining or that are responsible for hunger, what are the problems that are associated with hunger, or what are the causes that are associated with hunger, particularly the developing world and underdeveloped world of the in the entire globe. Naturally, the first reason or cause behind hunger across the world is poverty. As we have discussed earlier, that maximum concentration of undernourished population is with sub-Saharan countries followed by Southeast Asian nations, which are poor regions of the world. And therefore, as per the statistics of World Bank in 2016, 896 million poor people in developing countries have the per day per capita income of less than 1.90 US dollars or even less than that. It means that their purchasing capacity is much less as compared to what they require to get economic access for the basic food they require. And if you compare this with the 1990 statistics, it is better to have 896 million people as against the number of 1.95 billion people in 1990s, which has reduced from 1950 million population to 896 million population from 1990s to 2016, which is a good sign. The poverty is directly related to the purchasing power of an individual to get access to the basic nutritious food he or she requires. It is important to make institutional efforts for poverty reduction and constant efforts and progress in poverty reduction program, particularly in Asia and Southeast Asia and Eastern Asian countries, have brought about satisfactory results in past couple of decades. However, in sub-Saharan countries, the number of people in extreme poverty has increased, resulting into increasing proportion of population which is undernourished in such region. Besides poverty, rising food prices is another important cause behind hunger and malnutrition. Food prices, particularly in Southeast Asian nations and poor regions of the world, are fluctuating. And in last few decades, the food prices are varying on a larger scale due to various socio-economic and environmental issues associated with agriculture. That has resulted into fluctuation in prices of food, And when the prices of food go high, naturally poor people are the sections of the society which cannot afford to get economic access to the food they require. And the main reason behind this is that various natural calamities associated with weather, the cyclones, droughts, floods, and weather shocks or other meteorological disasters affects the agricultural production. Sometimes the standing crop is also destroyed due to such meteorological disasters, and that has resulted into sudden reduction in the agricultural production or agricultural yield, which leads to increasing prices of the food in the agricultural commodity market, and that results into the problem of food shortage and further prices hike in case of agricultural food crops. Another important problem associated with the hunger is land rights and ownership. Now, if you talk about land, it is one of the very much valuable natural resource required for various economic operations, including agriculture, industries, commercial establishments, and also development of infrastructure. However, the issues related to land rights and ownership, particularly in India, the ownership of land is in hands of handful of population, whereas large number of people work as a peasant in their land, which is not owned by them, and therefore the rights of cultivating a crop, a particular crop, or choice of the crop is determined by those landlords, not by the peasants, and that results into conversion of food crop regions to non-food crop areas. The rich areas of the world, they convert land for various non-agricultural purposes, and then the responsibility is shouldered on poor parts of the world to produce food crops for rich countries. And this kind of disparity leads to the problem of food shortage, particularly for poor people. Diversion of agricultural land to non-productive uses is another important cause of hunger and malnutrition. As I told you, that land being a valuable resource is not only used for agricultural practices but also for various non-agricultural purposes, wherein the agricultural land is converted to other land use depending upon the need for land for various infrastructural projects like dam construction, industries, urbanization, and so on. And therefore, increasing non-agricultural land use results in reduction of actually land under cultivation, which further leads to shortage of food supply in the agricultural commodity market. Additionally, the diversion of agriculture from traditional food crop production to the production of cash crop is also responsible for shortage of food supply, and resulting into increasing amount of hungry people, increasing number of hungry people. And therefore, there is an increasing emphasis by farmers to produce export oriented crops, particularly the commercial crops, which are used as a raw material in manufacturing industries. And all these things or all these facts that results into the shortage of food supply in the agriculture commodity market. Another important cause behind increasing problem of hunger and malnutrition is insufficient agricultural practices. In a country like India, where per capita agricultural land is much less, and therefore a country with high population base and limited agricultural land always try to produce maximum agricultural produce from small landholding through intensive agricultural farming. But one of the important limitation of intensive subsistence farming is that by cultivating more and more crops in a year, one after the other, leads to exhaustion of soil fertility and the soil productivity in terms of agricultural produce decline year by year. As a result of which, 40% of the global agricultural land is seriously degraded due to intensive farming practices. In case of African continent, it is said that Africa might be able to feed just 25% of its population by 2025. That means 75% population will have to depend upon other countries for food supply because of decreasing agricultural productivity in this region. A war and conflict is another factor which indirectly affects the problem of hunger. There are some problems associated with war or social unrest on the border regions of two countries, or sometimes terrorism. All these kind of activities force people to leave their home places, and such kind of refugees migrate from one place to another place on a larger scale. Globally, 172 million people are affected by conflicts between the countries worldwide, and about internally displaced person is about 18 million globally, and the refugees are also in large number. If we talk about the percentage or the number of people who are displaced from countries, Pakistan and Nigeria are the largest proportion of population which are displaced from their own country, which is as high as 28 million and 19 million respectively. So this is how the conflict and war also play important role. Natural disasters undoubtedly are responsible for reduction in the agricultural produce. Drought, flood, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, cyclones, and many other such natural calamities affects the agricultural production areas and then the food supply is affected ultimately due to it. And therefore, the natural disasters, if are not controlled or mitigate, the agricultural asset is going to be destroyed on a larger scale. Agriculture infrastructure is also going to be destroyed on a larger scale, and the food supply will get affected globally. Agricultural productivity and poor crop yield per unit area is another important reason behind hunger and malnutrition. Because decline in per capita food production ultimately declines the amount of food production from various sources. And therefore, many countries, particularly the largest populated countries in the world, have lost their ability to feed even their own hosting population or their own population. And they have to depend upon other countries for food supply to feed their domestic population. Rising cost of fuels and energy resources for various agricultural activities, and also rising energy and fertilizer prices are important factors affecting hunger. Trade policies, international trade policies consider agricultural food production just as another product, and therefore agricultural food produce is not prioritized in trading policies globally. And that's the reason why any country which has a surplus food production normally do not offer the food to developing regions of the world on a better terms, and that results into shortage of food supply among the poor countries and ultimately results in the increasing problem of hunger. Climate change is another important phenomena which is responsible for large scale death of the people. It is said that about 300,000 deaths are caused by climate change related phenomena every year. After looking at all the causes of hunger and malnutrition, we need to know, or we need to understand the solutions to these problems. And the solution is food security. We have to ensure that sufficient amount and good quality food will be supplied to the population across the world. World Food Summit in 1996 has defined food security as the situation when all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to maintain healthy and active life. In short, food security is nothing but assurance that all people at all times will get sufficient and good quality food they require for their healthy life. When we talk about the food security, it has a focus on three important dimensions. First, that we need to make food available in copious quantities for increasing population. We also need to make access to the food for the poorest poor. Now, when I say access of food or access to food, I mean that everyone has to have physical access as well as economic access to get the food, and also the stability. When I say stability, the social stability, the economic stability, and stability in terms of infrastructure, which is required to have sufficient quantity of food supply across the globe. And not only the access of food and food availability should be maintained for a day or two, it has to be sustained for a longer period of time. That is what I mean by food security. Now, globally, there have been a constant efforts to achieve the food security. Food and Agricultural Organization have made constant efforts to reduce the number of hungry people globally, and it has achieved to a larger extent that around 1010.6 million people were hungry in 1990, which has reduced to 795 million in 2014, which is a great achievement. But still, we have we are far away from achieving total food security globally. 63 countries across the globe have reached to the target of Millennium Development Goal in terms of achieving food security. 25 countries have achieved the more stringent World Food Summit target to make food available for the growing population. In both the Millennium Development Goals, the food security and nutrition are considered to be the top priorities for them. In order to reduce the hunger, we need to increase the agricultural productivity. We need to also make access to the input land services, technology, and market for food produce. We need to promote rural development because rural areas are the one where food production is being done on a larger scale. And poorest poor should get social protection to get access to the food he or she requires. Particularly nutritious food needs to be made available for lactating mothers and children under 5 age so as to make a country healthy. And therefore, food security needs to be achieved by these ways. What happened if there is not a food security, or what happened when there is an insecurity of food or food insecurity among the poor people? Poor people, because they are having low wages, won't be able to afford proper housing, and due to poor housing facilities and poor living standards, they suffer from various health issues consistently, and they have to spend a lot on medical care cost for them and their family members, and they become poor again. And as they are poor economically, they won't be able to afford food in sufficient quantities and nutritious quality, and therefore slowly and steadily they become in isolation from the main social stream and results into various environmental and various health issues among them. If we talk about global food security, we find that Western European countries, Australia, and North America are the best performing countries across the world as per 2019 data. Whereas Eurasia, South America, Middle East Asian countries have shown good performance. India and neighboring countries in South Asia, many African nations are showing moderate performance in terms of food security, whereas many African nations need to improve the status of food security and in order to achieve the total food security. Food security in Indian context, if we talk about, somewhere in 2014, food security bill was passed in the Indian parliament, aiming at making food available for every Indian in sufficient quantities and good quality, nutritious food for all through this food security bill. There are various efforts, institutional efforts that are made up by both central and state governments of different areas in India to achieve food security. And few of these results are public distribution systems, wherein the food produced in different parts of the nation is made available for poorest poor through fair price shops. Locally, we call them as rationing shops. So this public distribution system play vital role in achieving food security in different parts of the nation. Another important step that is being taken up by government to encourage the farmers for cultivation of food crops rather than diverting the agriculture from food crop production to the non-food crop production or commercial crop or cash crop production. Uh, Another very important, remarkable effort that is being made for nourishment of school going children is midday meal scheme, wherein the primary and secondary school children are getting midday meal every day during their school days. The import and export policies for food production also play significant role in the supply of food production across the country. Whenever there is a shortage of a food production, the export and import policies are being changed. Agricultural productivity improvement programs are being taken up by government to increase the purchasing parity or purchasing capacity of poor people. Employment guarantee scheme for poor people is being initiated. Poverty alleviation program, green revolution, and also white revolution for agricultural produce and milk production are some important achievements in terms of achieving food security in India. These are the global statistics of hunger and malnutrition or food security. 55 countries, as per the 2019 statistics, 135 million people in 55 countries were in crisis of food insecurity. And the situation is more worse in African nations and Southeast Asian nations globally. The problem associated with food insecurity is more confined to affordability or purchasing capacity, availability, quality of food, and safety as well. The food prices also play important role in food security, wherein as per the food security bill, the financial support of about 130,000 crore is being made to make food available at low prices to the poor people in a country. The entitlement feeding program for children, pregnant women, and lactating mothers, food subsidy for targeted public distribution, targeted population under PDS, that is public distribution system, which include 35 kgs of food grain to be made available at subsidized rate per month per family. Annapurna program, wherein 10 kilogram of free food grain is being given to destitute poor. National Rural Employment Scheme, social safety net program including old age pension scheme and national family benefit scheme for poorest poor in order to make them economically enabled for getting economic access to the food they require. When we talk about PDS, that is public distribution system, it has been often a question that how come the food distribution or public distribution system play important role in the food supply in the entire nation. When farmers produces the food grains, the food grains that is being produced in the entire nation is being stored by Food Corporation of India, which maintains buffer stock for food grains. And then from FCI, various states purchase this food grain to make it available for poorest poor through fair price shops, wherein the distribution system is being employed. Various states have various rates of food grains, like Andhra Pradesh offer 35 kg of rice at 1 rupees per kg, Chhattisgarh 2 rupees, Kerala 2 rupees per kg rice for below poverty line population, Karnataka 1 rupees per kg, Madhya Pradesh 1 rupees, Odisha 1 rupees, Tamil Nadu 20 kilogram of rice is made free per month, West Bengal 2 rupees at rice is available at the rate of 2 rupees per kg in selected areas. So these are the special variation in terms of PDS and charges for PDS in India. Midday meal scheme, if we talk about in India, for every child of primary and upper primary school are getting 100 grams and 150 grams of food grain every day, pulses of 20 to 30 grams, vegetables of 50 to 75 grams, oil and fat of about 5 to 7.5 grams are being made available every day. The agricultural production can only be, or sustained agricultural production can only be possible with sustainable agricultural practices, wherein four important points are need to be taken into consideration. Soil conservation, water conservation, these are the two important natural resources which needs to be conserved in order to sustain agricultural productivity. Perennial crops and appropriate agricultural policies also required to boost agricultural production, particularly food crop production globally. As far as the soil conservation is concerned, The agricultural practices like strip cropping, contour plowing, summer fallow, wherein we keep agricultural land without any cultivation for few months so that the nutrient deficiency can be recovered by soil naturally. So that summer fallow is another important concept in order to maintain the nutrient balance in the soil. Crop rotation is also important to maintain balance in the soil nutrients by rotating the crops in a year, because monoculture is having its own limitation as far as the agricultural productivity is concerned. Tree plantation on the banks of rivers and borders of farms are necessary in order to reduce the soil erosion, and use of organic fertilizers to maintain and to sustain the crop productivity in long run is required. As far as the water conservation strategies are concerned, watershed management program, use of modern irrigation facilities such as drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation methods need to be adopted. Efforts to reduce evapotranspiration, by which the water loss is happened. Use of perennial crops. Perennial crops are the crops which can live for a whole year and can be harvested for several times in a year, which can increase the agricultural production. And appropriate agricultural policies in terms of financial assistance for agriculture, loan waiver on the farmers, irrigation water availability, fertilizer policy, and import export policy for food crops. So these are some of the important methods of sustainable agriculture. We will be discussing the industrial development and industrial production and its impact on environmental resources in the next lecture. Till then, thank you very much.